Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. I hope you're having a fabulous Saturday. It is the weekend. I hope you're enjoying it. Big shout out to Texas, everybody in Texas. I know you got some sunshine and some warmer temperatures. I hope you're enjoying that as well around the country. If anybody else is struggling with weather, please, I hope it gets better for you. But most importantly, be careful. This weather is nothing to be joking with. The cold temperatures, busting pipes. Just take time and let's issue patience that things will get better. You have me in my prayers. I hope you have me. I have you. You have me in your prayers. Hopefully, I'm in your prayers and around the world. That things just simply get better. We report to you today a little bit different show, if you will. And the show is it's business as usual. We're gonna do our business as usual, but I'm also gonna take a little bit of time, if you will, to just point out somebody who's really, really important to me. But I'm gonna make it in a general sense about how people in our lives need to be celebrated while I'm here, and I hope you guys don't mind. So before we get started with the show, I'm actually going to shout out any people that's coming on for the first time. I feel like I've cheated you because we've done over 300 episodes, and our 300 episode, I'm still floating around. That was an amazing episode. People came on, we got to put them in. I got to interview people, brothers, mothers, aunties, fans, and we just got to have everybody come on and just introduce themselves. I believe that it's really, really important to celebrate people in their own authenticity, in their own agency. The people are reporting in from their homes, and I think it was just such a beautiful thing. And I want to, again, I've already thanked these people since Wednesday. I'm going to thank everybody again. So if you're new to the show, here's the way it works. Don't act like you're a stranger. Take your time, get in the comment section, give us a comment. Get what's affectionately known as the shout out, and I can put you on. All right? And I appreciate you coming on, and we're going to have a good time because we're part of a family here. I'm the host. I'm Preacher Moss, the host of the SOS. But again, this is a collective of people that come on with their own individual stories, their own individual ideas and personalities, and we celebrate. So get in that comment section, get your shout out. Now, I'm actually going to give a preview of what we normally do. I'm going to give a shout out to my stars in the building. We have our dietitian, we have our craft services slash dietitian. We got Sister Reed Chase. Reed takes care of all my dietary needs to make sure I don't starve and I don't eat myself to death. Thank you so much, sister. I appreciate you. And I sent you a little something today. I hope you got it. And we have a consulting producer, Sister Sultana Whitfield, who makes the whole program go. You always acknowledge people right up in the front to help you make things go. And I have them on the show. These people that I'm introducing are an integral part of the show. But Sister Sultana is there in that concept development phase where you don't know, and in some regard, you feel a little ill at ease, or you don't want to be vulnerable that you put an idea out that somebody doesn't like. She trusted me with an idea. I trusted her with the idea, and we just been going. And I just feel like this thing is going someplace, and I'm just blessed all the lives and people we've been able to touch and speak. I mean, that's what makes this thing fun, and it also keeps it real for me. And another young man, my little brother Johnny L. Thomas, always say, man, I appreciate you. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to you too, Sister Sultana. I don't want to be derelict in my duty of giving you a proper greeting. When sledding with the grandkids, and you are exhausted, you should be, JT, because you're old, just like me. And we got Sister, and we have Sister Ika reporting in all the way from Indonesia. I hope your mother-in-law is doing well, and you are enjoying yourself. So as I begin the program today, brothers and sisters, I always try and keep it real. The spotlight is remembering a cousin. Earlier this morning, I got a call from my father about 5 in the morning that my older cousin, my oldest cousin for real, Donald Foster Sr. His nickname was Nookie. I don't know how he got the nickname Nookie, but cousin Nook had passed away, and at the age of 66, he actually would have been 67. I'm told April the 1st, but he passed away. And it was funny because it happened on a day where you really weren't expecting it. You get those calls in the morning way early than you think. It's like, oh, I don't know, it's good news. I don't know if it's good news or bad news, but he passed away, and it was of course, this sadness. You miss your cousin, but you really appreciate him. I just talked about the 300 show. My cousin and I hadn't spoken in a while, but we're always in each other's good graces. And never a bad word, never a side eye or nothing like that. I love my older cousin, but the fact of the matter was, he was the oldest out of the grandchildren. I was the youngest out of the grandchildren. So we had about a 13-year difference between our ages. But he always made space for me, just like my other cousins. So we never had that thing, and it was so funny. I hadn't heard from him in a while. And the first show we actually did with the Shout Out show, which was, of course, very instrumental, going back to April 24th, 2020, first day of Ramadan. When I got off the show, I actually saw him on the show. I don't know, Sister Satana may not remember that, but I actually saw him on the show. And I lost my train of thought. I pulled an Aldro. What's up, Nook? What's happening, Nookie? And it was just a joy and exuberance of seeing your older cousin take a little bit of time to give you some attention. And I don't know about you, but, when you're younger, you always want the approval of your older cousins, just like your older brothers. The hardest people to make laugh or get their respect are your older cousins. Grandma and granddaddy and the auntie's going to give it to you because they have that space, they have that gravitas. But your cousin that's a little bit older than you, it was interesting. I did the Shout Out show and he gave me a call and I didn't recognize the number. I just knew it was a Maryland number and I answered. And he's like, yeah, hey boy, it's Nook. And it was funny and we just caught up. That's the blessing of this show. We just caught up and we had a laugh and he told me about everybody was doing well and da-da-da. And, we said, hey, man, it was good to talk, man. Good to have that speech. More importantly for me is good to have that attention from my older cousin, and it's funny the times you remember. They probably weren't the most appropriate times. Thank you, Sister Satana. I really appreciate that. But, I celebrate my cousin as a guy and all the things that are going on in the world. He was a guy he was a stand-up guy. And I'm like, why aren't we more so celebrating stand-up people? The people who take care of their kids, they take care of their wives, they go to work every day, they put in the work, they save the money, they buy a house, they retire, and they take care of their kids. He has two daughters and a son. His wife is, I don't want to say stepson. Steve Slaughter is not his stepson. Steve Slaughter is his son. So let me say he has two sons and two daughters. But an amazing dude because he just got up every day. He worked at Holy Cross. He worked at a liquor store off of Conti Road in Laurel, Maryland for years. He used to do the lottery tickets. And one of my fondest memories of my cousin was two. One was not so funny. I was in a huge dispute in a really big nursing home where my mom was because she had suffered a heart attack. And I didn't think they was taking care of her, and I was raised in holy hell up there. And I was there downstairs raising hell, and here comes Nook. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And he's like, he had just started working there, and he had given me his word. I'm going to talk to these people. We're going to get this thing straight. I got your mom, blah, blah, blah. And he was true to his word. Now, the second time, which was funny, and we still laugh about this, my other cousin, Pat Sujic, God bless her. She had, I guess, become born again, and she was, she was going to get baptized. And so we all showed up to the spot where she was supposed to get baptized at this church. And Nook was there. My cousin Don was there. Other cousins was coming. My uncle was there. And Nook was with me because we didn't know what was going on. We just showed up at this place thinking there was going to be a baptism. We get there, and there's nobody there. And we walk in. And Nook's like, I'm going to go back here. And I'm like, okay, go out. And I'm talking to the guy who's the attendant. I'm like, hey, what's going on? Why isn't this place prepared? My cousin is going to get baptized. And this older guy, he was like, I guess like he was he was the caretaker or whatever. He goes, ain't no baptism going to happen here. I said, how do you know? I said, because you run things? He goes, no, boy, ain't no baptism going to happen here. He said, because ain't no water. Ain't no water in the pool. He said, unless you bought your own water, ain't no baptism going to happen. And I went to inform my family that Not only was there not going to be a baptism, but there was no water in the place. You know, with a baptism, you have to fill the water up the night before. So I go to tell Nook. I said, Nook, there's a problem. I said, Don, there's a problem. He goes, what's the problem? I said, look, man, I don't know how to tell you this, but there's no baptism. He goes, what do you mean? I said, there's no baptism because there's no water in the pool. He looked at me with a straight face and he's like, stop lying. I'm like, nah. He said, ain't no water in the pool. I said, unless you got about 700 bottles of Avion with you, ain't nobody getting baptized today. And he really thought I was joking to the point we just fell out laughing. I mean, it was true, but it was just fun, you know. And I have to say, you know, his good cousins, you know, came out to support me for stand up and things like that, man. But it was just those type of things. And again, I think it goes to the fact that I'm celebrating my cousin because he was a good guy. He didn't have to be a celebrity. He had to be an athlete. He didn't have to be rich. He didn't have to be infamous. You know, he didn't have to have any special set of skills. You know, just being a good person and watching your life around you respond to you being a good person. Watching how your kids grow up. Watching how your grandkids grow up, you know. And he was always a cool dude. You know, he was a heck of a ball player. He played for Bladensburg High School. And it was him, my cousin, bruh. You know, he played for Bladensburg High School. Actually went to play, I think, a year. Got on scholarship to play down at Gardner Webb College down in North Carolina. D1. So he went D1. But I'm saying, you know, it was just all those things. And, you know, devoted son. Good brother. But, you know, the most part about it is just the consistency. Because I think there's something to be said about the consistency about the people in our lives. Like, I boast, and I don't want to say I boast, but I do boast about the people who come into my life because they're very, very consistent people. So even on a shout-out show, it's not so much that people come on the show. What I marvel at is people's consistency. Whether it's 300 episodes, 200 episodes, or 2 episodes in a row, it is the space that people can discipline themselves. And I will say this about anyone and everyone. You know, none of us lead perfect lives. We all have our problems. We have our ups and downs, trials and tribulations. But the thing that pulls us through a lot of times, the thing that really, really, really is attractive is the ability to make things normal, to celebrate. How was the last time we celebrated something that was normal? Because we fixate on the things that aren't normal. Pandemics, economic problems. You know, in Texas, you got snow and cold and a warm state and all of this. And it's like, yo, where does this all end? And I think the problem is, you know, sometimes we lend ourselves to the things that titillate us. We lend ourselves to things that are problems and challenges. They're not necessarily ours. And when I say they're not necessarily ours, I'm saying we don't necessarily actually know the answer to how we deal with these things. Yeah, I came on last year, a day after the loss of my big brother, Reginald Kitchen. And he always had these sayings, you know, if it is to be, it's up to me. Hard work, dedication. Attitude determines altitude. Yeah, you know, we used to say, who's the greatest? Allah said, who's the greatest liar? Shaitan. And we used to say, what are Shaitan's 2 greatest lies? I'm better than someone else and I have more time. Well, you know what? In truth, we don't have more time. We only have the time that we're given. And for that, I'm always thankful. And for my cousin who left this morning, I'm thankful for the time that we had. It's going to be sadness and feelings of being melancholy, of course. But there's this thing that makes me laugh when I think about the look on his face when we were there for a baptism and they didn't have any water in the place. That's funny. That look in a person's eyes that goes, you know what? I didn't think about it like that, and it may be totally inappropriate right now, but doggone it, that's funny. And to share just that scope of humanness is really, 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 really important. Now I'm gonna come back to Cousin Don, but I also want to take another time because there's some people that need some help. I know we don't normally do this on the shout out show, but you know what? What's normal? What is normal these days? Sometimes normal is not enough. So for me to talk about something is one thing, but sometimes we have to promote it and we have to help somebody. We have to help people. So I want to say in dedication to my cousin Don, I'm going to say there's some people that need some help. So work with me here. Like, am I muted now? Okay. So this is not working out. Can you hear me now? Okay, I hope you can hear me now. All right, hold on a minute. Let me check this mic. Mm. All right. So apologies, brothers and sisters. I'm having some issues. I have a new computer and I'm still trying to figure out the nuances of it. So please forgive me. What I did was I showed a picture of a family called the Hogan family. They're over in San Antonio. What I was saying to silence, and again I apologize for that because this is very very important. What I was saying is that the Hogan family is a family many of us know, a family that supports the community, helps assist those who are in need and things like that. But cannot hear tribute to my cousin. Oh wow, okay, so I'll have to go back. Gosh, this is terrible. I'll go back and I'll paraphrase everybody. So apologies, or I should do it tomorrow. I don't know. So I was saying the Hogan family, the picture I just showed you with the woman with the two children, they need help. They're over in San Antonio. They've experienced some hardships. They had a fire during this cold spell in Texas. They lost everything. They don't even have a proper ID. But the good thing about this story is that they're in good shape. They're healthy. They didn't incur any injury, but they do need help. So I'm asking everybody, if you don't mind, to please keep them in your prayers. And I'm going to put up their information. This is really long, okay? This is really long. So what I would like for you to do is to please just go to GoFundMe, help the Hogan family, and you should be able to find it. GoFundMe .com/ help the Hogan family, because these are people who are help agents and they've now suddenly found themselves in need of assistance. So even if we can't send money out there, we can't send clothes out there, let's send some du'as out, all right? That's all I was trying to say. Yeah, search on Hogan family, because I couldn't figure out a way to shorten this up, so please forgive me for that. All right. Help the Hogan family rebuild. GoFundMe, help the Hogan family rebuild. Thank you, Satan. I appreciate it. So, what I was saying about my cousin, thank you, Reek. What I was saying about my cousins, a lot of times it's so important that we learn, if you will, to celebrate. What's the word I'm looking for? Celebrate stand-up people, people that do what they're supposed to do. You know, what I liked about my cousin is that he did the things he's supposed to do. You know, he went to work. You know, he took care of his family. He took care of his grandkids, took care of his wife. And I said, we live in a time there's just so many extremes out there that we often gravitated to the titillation of the most difficult things. And we overlook the things that are really, really important, the day-to-day things. Like, did you guys hear me talk about my cousin in the baptism? Sultana? Ree? I'm throwing that out there. If I'd said it already, I'll just say it tomorrow, or I'll let it go. But I talked about his support for me as a comedian. I talked about a really, really funny time about when he okay, so the sound is bad again. Okay, good. Thank you. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. So I don't have to repeat my. This is good because I could have been going on and it would have been redundant. Thank you so much. So, we're getting towards the end of the show. So I don't want to actually, I might put his picture up at the end, because it's okay. I know it's very new. My mom and I talked about it earlier today. So while I'm talking about, it's my cousin, that's her nephew. And, we have 6 grandkids on my father's side. He was the oldest, I'm the youngest. So we were like bookends. And he came up with my other cousins where they all actually lived in the same house as my grandmother at one point in time. So you can imagine a lot of people in a house. And my father arguably said, he was the favorite because he was the first. He was the first grandson. And, he set a lot of standards for us. He was an athletic person, played basketball. I think I said that. But, the first one to actually leave to go to college. And I followed him years later, going to college at Marquette University, and I also remember the conversation that he had, which was really about don't be afraid to finish strong. But he also said, don't be afraid to fail on the way to finishing strong. And I always remember that. Because far too often, there's this, I want to say this weird deduction about how we get from point A to point B. Like, it's never really a clear path. We talk about in life, in Islam, we talk about the Sirat al-Mustaqim, the straight path. And I always had a philosophy of the straight path. And the reason why it had to be straight. And the reason it had to be straight because we were crooked people. And you had to have a model to give you direction, form, and of course, frame. And even as we begin to go through this whole process, because I think about everything that's happened. 2020 was a tough year. Wow, if I told you everything that was going on in 2021 up to this point, it's a head scratcher too. But even when I just think about just clear things, just these small things about people and how they made you feel. One of the things about my cousin Don is whenever I saw him, he always had a word. He always had a word, something to say. Even though I was the youngest cousin, he always had something fun to say, and we always had something to talk about, whether it's sports and things like that. And my point is, there's magic in that. There's value in that. So even in the micromanaging of our lives, when we deal with our family members, brothers and sisters, you know what? Don't micromanage those relationships. The small things, the hellos, the how yous. I know I'm a big person about, greeting people. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. That's important to me. Like I said, why am I just going to give you the greeting of peace when I can give you the greeting of peace, blessings, and mercy? And it's always thinking about the bigger picture about people. Something's, as my dad often says, it's not poetic, but it's true. He says, "Hey, no, ain't nobody gonna get out of here alive." And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of, it's true, but they'll never make a Hallmark card. But what's interesting that even in this space, there's a sense of joy that I could celebrate my cousin, just like I've got to celebrate a lot of people who are, in many regards, very extraordinary people. I'm finding out things about my big brother Reggie Kitchen. I connected with a guy that lives in Istanbul who happened to be one of Reggie Kitchen's disciples. I'm like, this is how the world works. It's a small world. And I realize it's a small world when people do the work of trying to be good people. When people do the work of trying to be good people. And there's something to that Quranic, that surah that says, that ayat that says, Allah never wastes the work of a righteous worker. And I believe that. And I don't mean righteous like religious. I mean just righteous. I look at an individual and I say that individual is deserving of respect. That individual is deserving of respect, mercy, and compassion. And it seems like in those spaces, things are always in a place where they just work out. And you can shake out the riffraff. You can shake out the crime. You can shake out the politics. You can shake out the evil. You can shake out all of these things, but it always is going to come down to how somebody made you feel and how you made somebody feel. So for the Hogan family, remember, go check them out. Help the Hogan family rebuild. Listen to the words. Help the Hogan family rebuild. And why am I saying rebuild? Because it's important to understand that they built something. And they helped other people build. And we shouldn't overlook that. And even in our own lives, celebrate yourself. Celebrate yourself if you help somebody build something. Celebrate yourself if you help rebuild yourself. If you find yourself in a difficult situation, you found a way. You develop, for lack of a better word, your own Sirota Mustaqim to at least get you out of that situation. You found a straight path to get you to the straight path. And find that idea when you look around with people, that in this world, and I'm beginning to realize this more and more and more and more and more. I said this thing that, and I want to correct myself. Anybody could jump on. I had a situation happen to me, and I said this where I said, this world has a lot of desperate people. I said there are a lot of desperate people in the world. COVID and loss of jobs and things like that has led people to have desperate lives. But I was thinking about this a while ago, and it just came to me, of course, with my cousin passed. And I said, you know what? I said that, but there was another part of it that maybe I didn't bother, if you will, to investigate or explore. And that came with this thing with help the Hogan family rebuild. People are desperate. But a lot of times, desperation occurs in a vacuum or in the absence of mercy. That people don't feel like in the world, folks will not show compassion to them. Folks will not show them mercy. And in return, you've created an individual whereby in their environment, in their circumstances, absence of mercy, absence of compassion, they now become the thing that they were denied. So they become people who don't have mercy, people who don't have compassion. And then we put them all in one spot. And we castigate them by saying that they made bad decisions without indoctrinating or incriminating ourselves by saying that we didn't create situations where they felt mercy. And I had a disagreement with a very good friend of mine who was talking about, the criminals. I'm like, they need to be, these people need to be in prison. And I was like, I said, I don't believe that now. I said, when you go to prison, if you've ever gone to prison, I've gone to prison as an entertainer. Well, it's going to be three things you probably recognize. One, prison does not cater to mercy. Two, prison does not cater to compassion. And three, prison is a collective identity of people who made poor decisions or the wrong decisions or decisions that were they weren't processed legally. They weren't good decisions in a legal sense. And in that space, brothers and sisters, it takes away from the thing I've talked about my cousin that, even some of the people who had difficult times and made poor choices, it doesn't mean that at some point in time they weren't or didn't have the capability to be stand-up guys or stand-up women. It's that if you put people in situations where there aren't options, where there isn't mercy, there isn't compassion, there isn't understanding, there isn't, like I said, that compelling word, the how are you? Are you okay? Do you need anything? Any absence of that, you can't have stand-up guys or stand-up women. You have passed by guys and passed over women, and that becomes a culture. So if there's anything I can do to increase this, take it away, brothers and sisters. When I say take it away, I mean let me be the first to say I'm not perfect. And while I want to help people, I can't tell you every time I've been able to help people. That's not true. I'd be lying. But I'm trying to get into the mode now. My cousin was 66. He lived a pretty good life in that he got to see his kids graduate college, his children get married and have babies and have grandchildren. So he got to see a generation, 2 generations move forward. The Hogan family, I don't know. But I support the Hogan family because the Hogan family is you. And the Hogan family has been me. And there, like my mother said, therefore the grace of God, that could be me. And absolutely, a family that's helped people for so many years is in need of help. And I don't mind throwing out on my platform saying these folks need help, and I want to give it to them. And I like for us to give it to them. Like if it's money, cool. If it's prayers, cool. If you just get up and you see another family that needs some type of assistance, don't hesitate. Give them $1, $2. It's interesting because you know what? It's not so much giving people money, it's the attachment that people have. It's the idea that somebody cares. I'm forever in debt to my cousin because, like I said, my mother, probably about 10 years ago, was in a facility recovering from a heart attack, rehabilitating from a heart attack. And he had just started working there. And I was not liking the people there. He said, cousin, I got you. And it was interesting. Because he did have her. He just had my mom. He had me too. So, my sisters, I'm going to wrap up because, I would like for us to go out and do good things. I would like for us to go out and be great people. I would like for us to go out and recognize and celebrate stand-up people. I didn't say stars. I didn't say celebrities. Just stand-up people. And I don't just mean stand-up people who are still here with us today. I'm talking about the people who came before us, who may not be in our lives anymore. They passed on, met their maker, or maybe they've gone away. We haven't been in touch with them. But the people who made a positive difference, you got to celebrate them because that's the culture. because that's the way we really, really honor these folks. And we honor them by looking at their model and want to replicate that model and do good things as well. So I showed you guys the picture of the Hogan family. I don't want to do that again because I might lose my sound. And I might show my cousin Nook at the end. But again, I appreciate everybody. And let me give a shout out to our sponsor, which is BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. Again, that's BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. If you do not have internet or a computer, you can simply call 1-800-679-3175. Again, that's 1-800-679-3175. You can talk to Miss Maxine K, better known as the Harriet Tubman Financial Freedom. She's a financial advisor. She's a financial advisor, and her goal is to lead you away from the slavery of debt. Again, that's 1-800-679-3175, or go to BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. Okay, I got one more comment here. Well, I got two. Yeah, my mom said he was a stand-up guy. Yep, because my mom knew my cousin Nookie, and that was her nephew. So, and this is a good friend of mine, Brother Zane Patel. A lot of y'all don't know Zane. Zane was in the deep freeze like many of us. Zane's a stand-up guy. You know, he's always advocated for me when I wanted to do projects with ISNA, but just been a good friend overall. You know, Zane, I don't know if I apologize to you. I always want to apologize to you about that last ISNA thing. The last ISNA conference, and I know you really fought for me to do a show at ISNA, and I got in my feelings because I felt like they didn't really want me to do the show, which really got into the fact I didn't feel like they appreciated me, and so I didn't do the show, and I feel like I left you hanging. I know I apologize, but I just want to be open and man up because you're a stand-up guy. So to be a stand-up guy, you got to recognize stand-up guys, so I apologize to you for that. All right, my brother? Appreciate you, man. So everybody, that's the show today. I just want y'all to kick back, enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and you know, just enjoy yourself. I'm gonna show you guys. My cousin Nook was a cool dude, so I'm gonna leave you guys with a picture, then I'm gonna close the show out. So again, celebrate my cousin Nook. God bless, man, and may Allah bless you, increase you, and protect your family. Forgive your bad deeds, accept your good deeds, and give you the highest levels of paradise. Amen. Hey everybody, this is your brother Preacher Moss. Listen, I hope that you enjoyed your shout out show experience. We'll be back with the next show, the next shout out show. Simple ask before you go, please help your brother out. Click that subscribe button, click that notify button, and I'll see you again on this side of the microphone. You probably wonder what that smell is. That's me. I smell good. And the reason I smell good is because I use oils from Tarif Altar. So I'm not saying you can't smell good. I'm not even saying you stink. I'm saying you have the opportunity to smell exquisite. Check out TarifAltar.com for some of the best oils and scents in town.